But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you? Then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, Len, Click OK, Adam, Christian, and a whole bunch of people in the Flipside Discord server. So welcome one and all.
How are you?
Morning. Hi, everyone.
Hi, whoever that was, unfamiliar voice. Who is that?
It was me, Christian. I was a little high pitch there.
Yeah, take that shit down a couple of octaves round. What's wrong with you? We were talking about being jocks in the pre-show. Hello, everybody. Yes,
Waking up.
we were patting ourselves on our back. This is a bunch of middle-aged men telling us ourselves how cool we were back in our high school days. Man, things have changed.
But we were.
I certainly
Can't
was.
deny it.
I'll speak for everyone. I was cool. Actually, I wasn't. I was a complete outcast. I changed schools all the time. Kept leaving schools that I was in for various different reasons. So I moved around lots of different schools. So I was always the outsider.
Listen, depends on what you were wearing. When I went to high school, it was MC jackets, jeans, and boots. With a t-shirt, you were cool. It was a throwback.
Throwback to what? The 50s?
Yeah, basically, that's what happened in the early 80s in my part of town. Like the 70s was the bomber jackets, leathers with the fur collar. If you didn't have a bomber jacket, that's it. You were an outcast. And then it switched to the motorcycle jackets. And then during the springtime, it was the dungaree jackets with whatever group you liked, favorite album painted on the back of it. So if you liked the Doors, you had L.A. Woman painted on the back of your dungaree jacket. That was a big thing.
Yeah, well, fair enough. My wife's out because one of my, I suppose you call them relatives, even though it's not by blood, it's by marriage. But my wife's auntie's dying, so she's not here, which means I've got no drink. So I'm going to have to take my radio mic into the kitchen and make myself a cup of coffee. Not really a great move as soon as we've started the live show, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
These things happen. See, but that was only on one side of the school. I've said this before. We had three entrances. There was the white kids, then there was the black kids on the other side, and then there was somewhat in the middle. You had a mixture of people. Italians, because they listened to house music, and that was a mixture. So it depended on what part of the school you were going into and what you were wearing that made you cool or not, and who you were hanging out with. So me, the pretty girls were always on the other side. The black girls and, the house music, disco section.
Did you guys never have more than one outfit in your wardrobe then? It's like One day you could be the rocker, and the next minute you could be the house kid.
That's what I'm saying. You dressed accordingly. If I was going into the house music side, I put my gold chains on, put my little jumpsuit on, Sergio Tacchini or whatever the style was back then, and you went in there. If you went into the black side, then you dressed it basically the same way. You can go any way you wanted to go if you went into the black section of the school. But that's where all the girls were. The hot girls, that is.
Yeah, but you had to, like you say, dress appropriately. So if you were going, or if I was going to a Rage Against the Machine concert, I'd be dressed very differently to when I'd be going to Cream or a club.
Yep.
You're very different in terms of your attire. You're dressed like Beavis and Butthead with your AC/DC t-shirt and your Metallica t-shirt.
But if you want to be a bad boy, you don't care what you wear. You just wear what you do.
Yeah, you had some guys that were able to pull that off. I was accepted in every section because I was just that type of guy. I made friends with everybody. So I knew people in every section.
I missed a bit there, but I wanted to point out that if you tell a girl she's pretty and you want to sleep with her, you got less chance of sleeping with her. If you tell her she's all right, she's okay, I don't mind if I sleep with you or not, she's more interested.
Yeah. The more you don't pay them attention, the more attention you get. I found that to be very true.
So same with Flat Earth. Who cares what they think?
You got a point there. The more laid back Nathan gets as the host of this show, the more attention he's getting from these Globers. He can't just be relaxed in this. No. That's it. We got to get him back into a debate. I got a countdown here, right? Right above, you see the countdown, how long Nathan has not shown up to debate me without a mute button on a mutual platform.
Yeah, let them worry about it. We know they don't.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's not paying them no attention, but he keeps getting their attention.
Somebody pointed out the other word. Have you ever thought about the word you're saying? When you pay attention. So it's actually costing you something because you're paying.
Pay attention. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, so it's actually costing you and gaining them. So yeah, don't pay attention.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I've been saying that for the longest time. Don't even bother going into that. I understand Vax went over there and wanted to have a word with Toon. I don't even waste my time.
Like people always want to talk about that dude. I can't remember his name, Donald Duck or something. I don't pay him no attention. I think he's well known in your country, Neil.
No. I call him the Don.
Oh, I couldn't do that. That might show somebody respect above what they deserve.
No. He's the Don. No doubt about it. But we'll keep politics out of this.
Are you talking about Donald Trump?
Donald Duck, that's him. Yeah, that's the one.
The Don. Well, that's it. The more time you pay no time to them, the more desirable. Like the girl, you don't pay her attention. She wants you. She wants your attention. The more you don't pay attention, the more attention she's paying, and that's what's happening right now. We're not paying attention. We're just demonstrating day after day in this show that Nathan has how Earth is measured flat, and we're showing them with everyday people doing their everyday jobs the facts of the matter, and it's twisting them to the point where they are so angry right now. You could feel it. You could hear it when when they come into the show and chat. You could hear it how they're sending their chat messages. They're in serious pain.
And everyday people. Every day.
Buck Sodbuster came into your chat with 5 different accounts yesterday. Every time somebody sent him away, he came back. Now, there's a perfect example of people not paying attention to you, and they want your attention more.
It whiffs, though. It reeks of desperation, doesn't it? Like, why?
Well, yeah, it's all of us. You too, Neil, in the re-upload. This guy kept attacking you and how you're Nathan's pet and a bunch of nonsense there as well. Yeah, we all get it. I get it too with spammers and telling me to cope and choke and telling me to die and all that stuff as well.
Are you talking about that red pole guy?
Yeah, him too.
I don't pay him no attention. That's why he goes crazy because I don't answer him. I'll wait for the end and I'll send the last message to him.
Yeah, it is demonstrable. These folks are in pain.
In pain?
Yeah, when they're lashing out at us, Nathan, telling us to die, threatening our children, telling us to not have jobs and not procreate, you name it.
I'm intrigued. I was saying in the pre-show, I want to know, what is it about this subject that makes you need to reaffirm what is already a consensus viewpoint? It's like the majority of the world already believe as you believe that they're on a spinning water ball flying through a sky vacuum. Why isn't that enough? I just don't get it.
An insatiable desire to have an absolute consensus on their belief.
That's how I summarised it in the pre-show, but I don't know if that's the case. So my suggestion in the pre-show was that we, being a tiny majority of people that appreciate how Earth is measured and how it's congruent with their belief. That is to say, you need Earth to be measured flat or you can't create a ball to believe in. But why would it be the case that us now, admittedly only in recent days, leaning into their necessity for a flat Earth to believe in their ball, why would it be that you'd want to eradicate anybody if you've already got the consensus on your side? Like, the whole world's behind you and it's still not enough. I don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I told you, because they're losing their grip. They're losing their grip. Can't have the guys that were the cool guys back in the day still remain cool. We're the cool guys now. We're telling you that it's a globe.
Because they lose sleep over the subject.
You're all muffled. One more time.
I said it's because they lose sleep over the subject.
Yeah, that was my conclusion, 5 years ago? That is to say that the awful truth, as we started to reveal it, was so cognitively painful that they're losing sleep over this subject. It's like, why? If you've got a firm belief that Earth's a ball, why would it be necessary to defend that if everybody already believes as you believe? Now, I can only surmise that lingering doubt needs immediately to be projected onto the next man, in this case us, so then that you don't have to face the awful reality that Earth is simply measured flat. And at the moment, the outrage is because we're pointing out that, well, yeah, we're not saying you're wrong. We're saying that the way the ball gets created is with flat Earth measurements. So we're kind of agreeing with you, but that seems to annoy him even more.
Yeah, because you're letting the cat out of the bag there, Nathan. If the world finds out about that, they'll find out that it's a papier-mâché globe.
You think that's what they're losing the sleep over? That is to say, the recognition that their belief is paper thin means that they need to defend it more vehemently because there's only a small crack that could potentially bring the whole thing down. So they need to quickly patch those cracks as quickly as possible to retain their ball faith.
Yeah, why does Neil deGrasse Tyson go out of his way when someone of recognition in, let's say, the Hollywood or successful realm finds out and starts talking about it? Neil deGrasse pops up, right?
Yeah, it's like the ball police.
And then you wound up getting sent to space to prove that it's a globe.
Yeah, but even then, the people who are not us, the non-skeptics, the people who genuinely form part of the consensus, look on the footage and go, this is garbage. This all looks like it's been created after the fact with green screen layers and CGI. Now, this isn't us that's pointing this out. It's the normal consensus. So it's like, what are you going to do? Attack the whole world? Because they're recognising what massive nonsense the perpetuation of heliocentrism is. So you can't help recognise when things aren't what they're alleged to be. Now, that's not us. That's the public doing that. Now, me, like I say, I don't care if the public find out that the sky vacuum is a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. In terms of the actual functionality of Earth and its surface rather than the sky, is, as always was, and as always will be dealt with as a flat plane. So what difference does it make if the consensus starts to recognise some of the bullshittery that's peddled out into the news media? It's like one bit of news spin is no different to your average normie than another. They don't care if it's a lie about whatever current political race is taking place versus the sky race that's claimed to be taking place. They just recognise bullshit when they see it.
But when you measure it flat,
They have to put an end to it, Nathan. All right, the world goes flat tomorrow. How many people lose their jobs, or their jobs will be insignificant? A lot. Follow the money.
I don't know if it would be that many. You say, what, NASA? It's like, well, how much of NASA's actual budget goes towards space travel? Well, none of it, because there isn't any space travel. So it's just a black hole.
Yeah, they'd have to answer for that money, though. And now look at the school systems. They'd have to redo all the schooling system and education system.
Yeah, it'll take about a day. Yeah, a couple of days.
A lot of people will be out of work.
I don't know if I agree.
Astrophysicists would be out of work. What are they going to talk about now?
What were they doing anyway? Working in universities? Working in the education centres? I mean, you just change the rhetoric of the education centre and they carry on as they were. Why would any of them lose their job? Just because heliocentrism isn't professed to be the actual worldview that we experience via a science class. We already were being taught how Earth was dealt with in the geography class. So who cares? You should take one section out of science. And that's it. No other alterations are needed as far as I can ascertain. What else needs to change? Because we've now come to the conclusion that the way Earth is dealt with is taught to you in school. It's just taught in the geography class rather than the science class. That bridge between how Earth is actually dealt with and how it's professed to be by way of a religious belief punted through a science class with the hint of empiricism being inferred when it's not applied, that's the situation that befalls us. We actually do measure and deal with Earth flat, and we're all taught it in geography class. We all believe we're on a ball flying around the sun, based on the flat Earth elevation angle measurements to the light in the sky, that you'd have made in the geography class, being applied to a conversion to a ball, so that you can argue all day about having spherical excess. You're like, why? Well, it just keeps the dweebs happy, as far as I can tell. Like, most people don't care. It's only the dweebs that get all in a huff about this when we say, nah, it's just not true, it's dealt with flat. Are the general masses getting annoyed at us? Most of them go, what difference does it make? I've still got to pay my bills tomorrow. Still got to service my car. So most people don't care. The majority of people that are kicking up a big stink. They're not the majority. It's just a small handful of dweebs. They've all been
Okay,
given...
just put this in. If the Earth were discovered to be flat, it would merely change a scientific fact. It would not merely change a scientific fact. It would invalidate the foundational principles of physics, engineering, and navigation, resulting in immediate, obsolescence of millions of jobs worldwide.
Obsolescence.
How do you say it?
Obsolescence.
Obsolescence of millions of jobs worldwide. While there is no precise official estimate of the number of people who would lose their jobs, the impact would be catastrophic across several key sectors.
I just don't agree. Don't agree with any of this. Where are you getting this? Where are you getting this? Where's this come from?
I don't know. I put it in Google. That's what came out. Let me see. Where's it coming from?
See, I fundamentally disagree. When you say it will alter principles of engineering and physics, no, it won't. That's not true. That simply is not correct.
Listen to how they ended, though. It says, while there is no precise official estimate of the number of people who would lose their jobs, the impact would be catastrophic across several key sectors, potentially leading to a widespread global economic disruption. We just discovered it's flat. You're telling me it'd be a global catastrophe?
No, because I'm saying it's already dealt with flat. So in terms of this is being phrased from the perspective of if we started finding out that Earth is actually flat. So it's already based on the presupposition that we already know it's spherical. And if it were to change from what it is, and in this phraseology, it is spherical, right? Therefore, all of the principles of physics would have to change. Like, no. The principles, if you're going to call them physics, are actually just Keplerian orbital motions and Einsteinian gravities that have no bearing on reality. They're not consequential to any everyday thing that you deal with. Whereas in terms of the everyday life and death journeys and transportation of goods and services, those sorts of things were already being utilised with respect to a flat plane. So nothing would change. None of the celestial navigation processes or mapping or charting the world for the goods exchange that we actually experience, keeping us all fed, none of that changes. It all remains exactly as it was already being utilised, and that's flat. When it comes to physics...
Over here it says navigation and transportation. They're giving you a list of things that'll be affected. Now listen to this. Pilots, sailors, and navigation systems, GPS, rely on spherical geometry, great circle
it's
routes.
Cartesian. That's incorrect. The circles are derived from areas of equal elevation. That's what they're referring to, these degree measurements. The routes are derived from flat Earth prerequisite measurements. The system, GPS, is Cartesian. It's flat. When people say, well, GPS would fail, what? In name only for you, the normies. All this is another brand of fear porn. Like, scare the normies who aren't dealing with Cartesian systems on GPS systems. Then none of them dealing with this. But if your belief alters, the world would end. No, it wouldn't. Yeah?
Yeah, they got a list of things, but every list of these things requires a flat Earth. They got surveying and civil engineering as flat. Listen, they build bridges and tunnels, accounting for curvature of Earth.
No, they don't. They're using tools that level to the plane of Earth's surface. They're measuring elevation and depression angles with respect to a flat planar system. They're building on level terrain. That is how it is dealt with. So nothing about any engineering, any cartography, anything to do with Earth when it's actually practically applied would change. But the cucks and the dweebs have been told their entire life from overarching controllers what they should do. And this is no different. You should continue to believe in a ball. Why? Because if you don't, bad things will happen. How long before the dweebs recognise that when you're being told bad things will happen, do you know that's the case? Really? Because they won't. You're told that these bad things will happen, but it's bluff and bluster designed to keep you scared so that you are inactive, docile. That's it. Oh, me, I'm a rebellious type. I've never been one for being told, well, if you do this, this will definitely happen. Okay, let's see if that's true. Oh, what do you know? You were wrong. It didn't happen. The world didn't explode. You said it would. It didn't. You said there'd be mass global panic. There wasn't. You were just wrong. But I could have spent the next 20 years in perpetual fear of that consequence that you told me verbally would happen. It's just cucks. People who kowtow to whatever bullshit they're fed because they're left scared as a result of the words that other men have fed them. That's all we're talking about here, isn't it?
Yep. Listen to this. They got one about telecommunications, right? But it's a joke because it says it relies on line of sight calculations adjusted for its curvature. But this is the one I want to focus on. At the end, they say it'll cause a societal breakdown. Beyond specific, highly technical jobs, a complete reversal of known science would cause, at minimum, massive long-term disruption, with some estimates suggesting a collapse of current technological and infrastructure systems. So be afraid.
Be
If the
very
Earth turns flat
afraid.
tomorrow.
The entire infrastructure of the world will collapse if we find out that we, measure it as a planar surface and level tools to it and measure angles from it? No. Those things are happening anyway. But if you can be fear-bombed that a recognition of the facts in the matter will suddenly cause an economic collapse, you'll be kept docile. You'll be kept obedient.
Yep. In summary, because so much of modern technology from GPS in smartphones to international flight paths is based on spherical Earth, a discovery of flat Earth would destroy the foundational knowledge of many specialized, high-skilled industries, resulting in millions of jobs disappearing. I'm starting to agree with you. I don't think that's the case.
Absolutely not. But if you can be kept in perpetual fear that there'll be an economic collapse if the world finds out how flat we measure it, no. We measure it flat. The systems that... Dead?
I was just saying, dun, 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 dun. Be very afraid. Be very, very, very afraid.
Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it? You know, as the time progresses, the more we realise that this fear porn is utterly inconsequential to us. It doesn't work on us anymore because we know the reality is actually being dealt with flat anyway. In other words, what if the whole world realised how flat it's dealt with anyway? Something would change? No, just what you believed in would change. You no longer believed that you're on a ball. So what, known science would change? Number one, that in itself is a contradiction. If it's science, it's empirically validated, cause and effect reasoning based on phenomena, established through systematic experimentation. And it is empirical. So to say the empiricism of science would change is just a way of saying the just so stories we peddled as science would change. Well, they weren't science. But as long as you're scared that the whole world would have to alter and uproot itself because you, the individual, find out how flat it is, nah. This fear bombing works on the principle that you see yourself as important for having this knowledge. That is to say, if you acquire the knowledge of flat Earth, the whole world will end. Nah, you aren't that important. You knowing won't change anything. Let's say there's some individual out there who's a staunch globe believer. Let's use Simon Dan as an example. Tomorrow, Simon Dan comes forth, stands up to his pulpit and says, it's actually flat. I appreciate that all of the measurements I've made are flat. Therefore, it can only be flat because that's how I measured it. Nothing would change. Consensus would still be on a ball. We'd still have that viewpoint regardless of one man changing his mind about how Earth was being dealt with anyway. The pilots will still fly straight and level, parallel with the surface level. Buildings will still be erected after levelling tools to a plane of Earth's surface. all of the elevation angles used to create the cartography systems, and indeed the ball itself, will still be flat Earth elevation angles, regardless of one man changing his viewpoint. Because his viewpoint didn't matter, didn't make any difference to how Earth was being dealt with. And when he came to dealing with Earth, he too had to deal with it flat. But that in and of itself still made no difference at a societal level. It didn't matter. It didn't change how Earth was being dealt with. When he changed his mind about how he suddenly recognised the truth of how Earth will be measured with elevation angles in his case. Now, the fact that he made those elevation angle measurements and then suggested that Earth's spherical also didn't matter. What really matters is how you, me in this example, are affected by the fear bombing that you're subject to on a daily basis.
Well, this one here, the problem is, Nathan, it's still the same thing, category error. A flat Earth is impossible based on our current understanding of science. So if we lived on a flat Earth, science would be, by definition, wrong, and nothing would work.
Yeah, their version of science would be proven wrong if people who are inconsequential to our Earth actually gets dealt with recognised how flat it was. Yeah, your current science would be demonstrated wrong. Now, science is a method of empirically proving cause. That will never be demonstrated wrong if it's been empirically validated. You often find that the empiricism offered by the scientific method results in technological advancement humanity is seeing the benefits of. Those things won't change. Won't suddenly not have computers because a world view peddled as being science changes, but the bit that's been peddled as science will literally change because science says we're on a ball. Well, science not got lips. It's not a methodology of offering up words and descriptions. It's a methodology for proving cause. Well, that's never going to change. But your worldview that you were told was science would change. But it wouldn't matter if every single claim to be scientist suddenly has to profess the reality of how flat the engineers deal with Earth. The GPS is Cartesian. The elevation angles to the stars are measured. Those things were already happening. Doesn't make any difference if Neil deGrasse Tyson suddenly says, it's flat. Like, yeah, it was being dealt with flat anyway. Didn't matter that you admitted to it. They still went out and sailed with the flat charts and the flat directions. South will still be south, regardless of if Neil deGrasse Tyson or Carl Sagan or anybody else admits to how flat we deal with Earth. South's still flat. It always will be, it always was. That's how we navigate. So we navigate flat. Nothing that you believe has any consequence on that. And how Earth gets dealt with by professionals being paid to navigate their way around Earth's flat surface, fly over Earth's flat surface, or build on Earth's flat surface will not change either. All that alters is your perception. And that doesn't matter. How you perceive it is irrelevant.
Then they go on to say that, but you will never find an argument that will convince a flat earther they're not interested in reason. Ship's gyro compass, they do not work unless the earth is rotating. Flat earthers do not believe the earth is rotating. Game over.
Gyro compasses fundamentally defy the principle that's being claimed to prove their point. So a gyro compass, what you mean, something that remains rigid in space? Axiomatically useful for remaining in level flight on an aircraft. What that proves a ball? It's like they take the thing that absolutely unequivocally proves Earth's being utilised as a flat plane and suggest that somehow that will stop working, and when it works, it proves a ball. Now, the only reason this functions, not the gyro compass, but the methodology of brainwashing in this example, is because the person reading it isn't using a gyro compass and has absolutely no consequence whatsoever for their misapprehensions about how ball-shaped gyro compasses prove the world to be, according to this text. And the fact, from my perspective, that a gyro's base principle remaining rigid in space is useful for establishing horizontal planes of reference for flight levels. Yeah, they're level. And I'm not flying the plane. So it doesn't matter that I recognise this is bullshit when this text says that gyro compasses would suddenly fail and be altered because people, that's flat earthers in the text, don't want to change their viewpoint. It's like, no, it's appealing to you with ridicule, saying, don't be a flat earther. Those people are stupid and don't change their minds. So don't change your mind about it being a ball. Like, this is really pathetic brainwashing. But it works on most people because most people are dumb.
Yeah, this is crazy. This one guy says it would be a radically different universe. One where navigation using stars would make no sense. No, that's totally wrong. It only makes sense because it's from a flat Earth.
That's some guy. Some guy said, the way we measure stars with his adenoids, yeah? The way we measure stars would change. You're not measuring any stars, though, are you? Yeah? But the navigators are. They use elevation angles. It's a prerequisite flat Earth measurement. But what? I say that the world would change fundamentally. You're not doing anything with Earth, though, are you? You're just some pathetic cuck.
Nathan, seasons and time zones would have worked radically different from what we're used to now. The entire fields of astronomy, geology, climatology, and meteorology, astrophysics would probably be radically different. Earth is flat, but every other celestial body is a sphere or an orb, as they used to call it. They killed Ken. That's this guy's name that's writing this. He don't even put his real name to it.
Yeah, so some guy says, if Earth was flat, the lights in the sky would have a problem. Does nobody see the disconnect here? Again, I'm going through this like I concern myself. This is for you. You, the dumbos watching this that believe they're on a ball. This is tailor-made, custom-specific for you to carry on unquestioningly believing what you already believed. And the majority of the consensus believes alongside you anyway. So you've got to ask yourself, I ask myself, why would this need reaffirming if it was actually the case? Nobody's out there reaffirming how flat you require the surface level when measuring it from sea level. You just measure it from sea level. There's never any affirmation required for a flat Earth prerequisite. It is what it is. You either accept it when you use it, that's to say you use surface level, sea level, eye level, all of the things that we axiomatically use when measuring Earth, or you don't. But it doesn't need some dweeby, adenoidal scientist to be telling you how the world would suddenly be in turmoil if you don't carry on believing as you believed anyway. No, you just go and you measure elevation angles if you want to navigate the Earth's surface. You just use directionality on a compass, two-dimensional, south being flat. Now, that doesn't need defence, does it? Certainly doesn't need me to defend it. South doesn't need any defence. It will be flat regardless. And the world won't stop because they realise, yeah, South's flat. Yeah, it was anyway. But you can be controlled and brainwashed by believing that if the world recognised that South is flat, suddenly there'd be economic upheaval. The South is flat. Nothing changes because you recognise how flat South is. Just suddenly the world in any way alter. No, but you were scared up until the point that you recognised that nothing happened. I found out it's flat. South's flat. Nothing's happened. Yeah, there's no economic crisis.
Well, Albert Normandy says if the Earth were flat, gravity would be completely bonkers. Gravity pulls the cosmic dust into a ball that we call a planet. But let's assume that Earth is a massive rigid sheet that just somehow appeared in a universe that still has gravity as we know it. Gravity in this scenario still pulls towards the center of mass of the flat Earth, meaning people standing at the ends of the plate would feel gravity pulling at an angle, not downward.
Oh my God.
That is going to screw up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Vsauce, eat your heart out. So if I say the world finding out that Earth is flat would mean that my presuppositional mass-attracting, 111-year out-of-date force would still pull people to the centre of a pizza plate? Really? Have you never seen a cloud? Do you really think that mass attracts mass? You think that there's coalition of particles of low mass because a large mass is near them. Really? Well, why do we have clouds? That would be gases coming out of the ground and coalescing above us. Not going down, go boom, boom, go splash, splash, with this gravity that 111 years ago was suggested formed accretion forces. We don't. We've got clouds. We never experienced a fart. But if you don't believe in gravity, the whole world will end. You're just being fear-bombed. It's sad. People kept in a perpetual cycle of fear. I don't feel sorry for them, to be honest. I'd rather laugh at them. These pathetic dweebs. These adenoidal dicks.
It is funny because they think no inventions would work. I suppose the question is asking, what invention shouldn't be working if we live on a flat Earth?
No, this has been qualified.
The
The fear's been put into the text. The whole of science would grind to a halt. Everything would change. Okay, give me 3 examples. Go.
Well, the 3 examples are nothing would work. Here's a good one.
Right, no, not baseless generalization by saying nothing would work. What, my telephone would stop working? So if everyone recognised tomorrow that south, a direction that we all use, is flat, does my telephone stop working? No. What about my mapping system? Does that stop working? No, it's still using trilateration, isn't it? It's still using a flat Earth prerequisite. The positions on the map have still been derived from positional information in terms of geographic position below stars at certain times, so that we can find our way around using said lights in the sky by way of measuring Earth flat. That is how the systems have been devised. So when you say everything would change, like, give me an example. My phone won't stop working. The system that's Cartesian to begin with, that's GPS, still work. Nothing would change.
No, they claim if Earth was flat, we would have different science. Back to the category era.
Okay.
This guy
Well,
claims
maybe.
it
I mean, like I
won't
say,
work.
we've pointed out for years that what is suggested to be science isn't. It's not empirically validated. It's a load of just so stories. I say, oh no, science would change. Oh, it's okay, though. Geography would stay the same, wouldn't it?
Yep.
So, yeah, you can be worried about your gods, because that's what you've been sold, the people watching this who believe in this shit. You've been sold a religion about the sky, like Zeus and gods. That's what you've got. You've got a sky religion.
Holidays.
Say again?
And caravan holidays.
And caravan holidays. Do dweebs find fun in... I've taken caravan holidays. They're cheap. I'm poor. What's wrong with caravan holidays?
Absolutely nothing, but they are in a sky vacuum. They're usually in Wales on some field.
Are you saying that if the world was flat, caravan holidays would cease to exist? Oh no!
Well, you
how
need
do
a level
say-
field.
How do you pronounce this? SEISMO seismometers? And earthquake science would be totally different. So we wouldn't be able to detect an earthquake if the Earth was flat.
Seismology is a flat Earth description. What have you got? A deviation in the horizontal with respect to the vertical as measured on a seismology instrument. Okay, so that's a flat Earth prerequisite. But every single time they suggest that something would suddenly alter, like what? Earthquakes? We measure earthquakes on a flat Earth.
Celestial navigation. I mean, come on, man. There is no way that a flat Earth theory can explain the position of stars in the sky in a consistent way like the globe does.
What? The globe doesn't explain it. The globe acts as a glorified protractor to describe the angles, degrees, that's latitude, wrapped around a compass that's North Pole centric. But the system itself works on the equatorial plane. That's how it functions. Again, it's back to us, flat earthers, reaching a point of apathy because we've gone through the process of looking how the globe actually functions. That's how it works. how the globe actually functions as a glorified protractor. But you still need the equatorial plane to describe these angles that are wrapped around the globe from. No one's measuring from hell. We are measuring from surface level. We're measuring angles. We don't even need the extrapolation of the globe as a glorified protractor to explain how a surface level is required to measure the angles to the stars. It only functions flat. The globe. Now, you notice how I'm not saying the globe's not true, you're not living on a globe? I'm saying it functions with respect to a flat planar surface. The equatorial plane in this example. So I'm helping you out, guys. I mean, come on. If you can't be bothered to look up how your globe actually functions with respect to a flat plane, it's not my bad. But what? If it wasn't working, the whole world would see. No, it's just bullshit. You're just being fear-bombed.
This is the final one I'm going to give you. Observation of supernova 1987A. Neutrinos from the supernova arrived at Earth before the light. The position of the neutrino detectors around the world allowed the supernova direction to be estimated so that when the light arrived, astronomers were ready to observe the light. It is one of the best observed supernovas.
Sorry, let me get it straight. Us looking at a freaking light in the sky that is alleged underground bunkers that have detected little tiny trails, that's neutrinos, alleged that we'd have a light show that was imminent. That's it. I mean, can you get any more dweeby? Do you want the words AV on your T-shirt while you go, the scientists knew that they'd see a supernova? Well, it's a little freaking light in the sky. That's it. But what are you doing when you're describing the elevation angle to the light? Well, you're describing a flat Earth that you've measured in order to describe it in any capacity. Like any measurement of little lights in the sky that all these dweebs appeal to, you'll always measure it flat to achieve that. I mean, we used him earlier in the example, Simon Dan. What's he do the second he wants to appeal to a light in the sky proving how spherical the world is? Oh, well, he'll do this on screen. Measure it with respect to a flat Earth. That's exactly what he did 1,000 times. Like anybody who ever actually endeavours to measure Earth in any capacity, even when referencing lights in the sky, you still measure it flat. There is no exception to these facts.
I just realized that's the neutrinos thing that guy who from 24/7 was debated. That guy, did he bring up neutrinos?
Yeah, Dr. Blitz.
Yeah, that's it.
Dr. Blitz, that was it. Yeah.
So you have to say it with the adenoidal tone. The neutrinos. You bunch of dweebs.
The astronomers are waiting for the light.
Let's measure neutrinos from sea level.
Yeah, these guys do their best, don't they?
Well, thank God for the globe.
Like you said, yes.
Go ahead, one deck.
I was just saying, I like the way Nathan was. Sorry, I'm been a bit late. It's like the defense mechanism, like you was explaining yesterday, Nathan. I can't remember how you sort of explained it. It's the defense mechanism just kicks in to protect their religion. I don't know if you can go over that again.
I was referring to Chase Hughes. So Chase Hughes, I was watching a video and he's saying that your brain is not wired to seek out truth. Your brain is wired like a defense attorney, preordained to defend any belief that you already hold. That's what it's designed to do. So when you feel or detect that someone's trying to challenge a pre-held belief, you're already in the cognitive processing stages of your brain will go, defend this. You believe this. Not, I wonder if this is true or not. No. It doesn't concern itself with whether or not things are true. Just, do you already hold a belief in this regard? If so, I better defend it.
Nathan, I've just posted a meme in Master B that's very relevant to what you're saying. Do you want to show it on screen?
You should post it on screen. It's really funny.
I got it from 24/7 a few years ago. in the meme section.
That's the guy on the left with the neutrinos. And I guess that's us. Earth is flat, man. What are you going to do?
FA equals GM squared over M squared divided by radius squared. G equals 6.7 times 10 to the minus 11. Yeah, and then you've got Giga Chad, Earth's flat.
They should have Earth is measured flat. I'm sorry.
But this is what it boils down to, isn't it? It's jocks versus dweebs. That's what it's boiled down to, right?
Revenge of the nerds, man.
Got a whole group of people are like, society has told me that it's flat, and you're all wrong. Okay, why'd you care? If you already know that you're correct about it being ball-shaped, get on with your day. Why are you concerned? Is it because you know that it could be wrong? Is that what it is? Yeah? Therefore, your brain kicks into defense mode. I must defend this already held belief. Sad.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I was more.
Yeah,
always
I like that.
More interested in girls. I've got to be honest.
But
Than
there's a
science
doubt
does.
in the back of their mind that causes them to freaking lash out. They're not certain. They're not sure because they know. They measure Earth flat too. Imagine you in that position, Nathan. You're doing something one way, but they're telling you it's another way.
Yeah, but we also say it's not that serious. It's like where your government-approved control narrative producers will tell you the world will end if you don't believe it's spherical. Like we're saying, no, it's not that serious. The way the world's functioning currently is flat. Now, that won't change. It was always being dealt with flat anyway, and if you find out how flat it's being dealt with anyway, nothing will change. But so long as a government-approved narrative can be out there telling you that the world will actually implode and everybody will be unemployed if you don't believe this, then you'll be kept nice and docile and kept nicely under control, fighting for a belief structure that you've held. But eventually, you'll get old, and you'll look back on life and go, why did I dedicate so much of my energy to this? Didn't make any difference. And it didn't. Like, you weren't building anything. You weren't sailing. You weren't flying. You weren't producing any maps. Didn't matter that you didn't recognise how flat South is. Now, recently, on Friday, I was putting this fact out to people who are asking me questions, like I'm important in this. I'm not. Doesn't make any difference if I recognise it or if you recognise it. But there's a perception that we should be debating this for whatever reason, so we do. You know, we go through the motions. We've been here for 10 years, right? And when it got to somebody asking me about the sun moving in two different directions, which it does not, they were asking me about how somebody looking south would perceive this sun. And you're like, well, south's flat. And what I got in response was, keep chanting your mantra, Nathan. It's like, you think that me describing south is a mantra? I haven't even got a compass, literally. I don't think there's one in the building. I don't care. I'm not going so far from home that I need a map, right? I know my way to most of the places I go already. I don't need a compass. But you think it's my mantra? Oh, I see. You've made this about me. Right. Why? Like, it doesn't matter if I understand how flat South is. South will still be dealt with exactly as it is on a compass. On a flat map. With the flat angles.
I'm from Uruguay. I know how you cope. Keep with your mantra.
Yeah, telling me that I'm coping. It's like, I don't need a compass currently. Like, I'm all right. I'm good. You're like, when you need a compass, maybe you'll appreciate how flat South is. But me pointing it out to you, it isn't me coping with anything. Yeah? But again, it's pure projection. So that you can cope with this seeming revelation. It's not. Earth was always being dealt with flat. You finding out about it isn't going to change anything. It's not a revelation. The world won't stop. There won't be mass unemployment. Your science stories, they were never science, but the stories told in science class, yeah, they become void. They become bunk. But what does that mean? Your stories that you were peddled as science, when in reality were just a religious viewpoint, didn't change what you got taught in the geography class, did it? Nothing changed at all. How the world was dealt with was never the arbiter of science or arbitrated by science. It was only ever dealt with in the geography class. And none of that's going to change if you find out how true everything you got taught in the geography class is. Some people took that information and became employees based on their recognition of how flat Earth will be measured and dealt with. Some people got jobs flying planes in straight and level flight. Some of them got charts on flat tables and drew circles of equal elevation for navigation. Some people produced the maps themselves on those giant flat plates that we covered a couple of weeks back. But all of those people who were paid were dealing with it in a geography context, not a science context. Science exclusively deals with the cause of naturally occurring phenomena. Earth being flat is just a description of how geographically we deal with Earth. They're very separate categories. But you, as a cuck following the consensus, have been told that the world will end if you see how it's dealt with in the geography class. I don't know why. It works, and I don't know why. I'm not a dweeb.
The world would end.
There was something telling, though, that he also said, Mr. Irigoy said, "You're not going to bully me." So you were bullied, huh?
So what if all those people could cut off their noses to spite their face? And if they did, they could just get rid of all the flat Earth measurements, and then they could claim a victory, and then they could just go and get lost.
Well, that is the problem, isn't it? When it comes to the reality of how the world's dealt with, people who have an actual concern for making money know that if the planes crash into each other because they don't adhere to the parallel flight levels that they're instructed to be at, people won't fly with them and they'll lose money. So when it comes to actual societal effects, that's people losing their jobs. People concern themselves primarily with dealing with Earth as a flat plane. And that is precisely how anybody who's dealing with it in any professional capacity does deal with it. That's just not you, you pathetic dweebs. You believing that you finding out how flat Earth is will suddenly result in the loss of huge numbers of jobs. Nah, it won't. Yeah. Likewise, when I found out, didn't change anything. No jobs were lost as a consequence of us here all recognising how flat Earth gets dealt with.
You're not going to bully me. Earth's a globe.
You can
The
believe
sun
it,
moves
though.
two different ways, Nathan.
I don't care if Uruguay guy thinks that by turning around the sun changes direction. In his own mental state, he's telling us, yeah, I understand that the sun moves in a single direction. Yeah, east to west. Yeah, so one direction. But I can also show you how it moves in different directions. No, we all accept that it moves in the same direction. Even you have confessed to this. You're not going to bully me. I don't want to bully you. Believe it goes in different directions, and good for you. I'm sure that'll get you the win.
That's just your mantra. That's how you go.
Yeah, I tend to find that I don't tend to dedicate that much time to concerning myself with South. It's not like the show ends and I go, South, it's got to be flat. If I keep saying it, it'll mean... It just is. That's South, right? It's not a mantra. I don't need to keep saying it. It's just a fact, right? But people who don't like South being a flat Earth prerequisite, they want to tell me that it's just a mantra, right? What, South being flat is just a mantra. I mean, okay, that's my cope. Okay. Projection much? I'm thinking, yeah.
I think we got to lean to that compass more. Maybe it'll click. You know?
No, the more
Because everybody
it
holds a
has
compass.
clicked.
Everybody
That's the
knows how it
problem.
works.
This is the problem, right? The compass, you say, might make people click that it's flat. But will the compass change? Will directionality in any way, shape, or form alter how it is based on your appreciation for how flat South is? Does it alter what a compass does?
No.
If I click my fingers and
Squirrel.
everybody recognises how flat South is, will it alter what a compass does? If everybody simultaneously recognised how flat Earth must be to use a compass?
Nope.
Who cares? Literally, who cares?
Directionality and measurement of Earth flat.
My point is that while these sources that Neil's read out today want to imply to you, you stupid dweeb, that there will be consequences to you, a dweeb who is inconsequential, finding out that Earth's flat, that's actually them saying, don't stop believing. Don't stop. That's what they're telling you, though. Don't stop believing in this religion, because if you do, bad things will happen. Really? I don't believe you. Yeah? But you do, don't you? You dweebs. Yeah? Oh no, bad things will happen. The world will stop turning. It was never turning. It was only a mental construct that you held. And you're being told to retain that mental construct or bad things will happen. No, they won't. Yeah? We all know it's flat here. We all know that South is South. It's not a mantra. But me knowing that didn't change what South was. Everyone around me knowing it, now that I've managed to communicate these flat Earth prerequisite measurements that we all use anyway to a wider audience, it didn't matter. If I'd have kept my mouth shut and nobody appreciated it, South would still be South. It'd still be flat. Linear distances would still be used on maps that are flat. Elevation angles would still form the systems. The religion, you're being told that if you don't believe in, the world will stop and mass unemployment will follow. Bullshit. Yeah? Just easily manipulated with fear. That's all this is. It won't be mass unemployment if people recognise what South is. The people who are being paid to navigate Earth's surface with directionality in tow still use South flat. Nothing you believe in will alter that. So you are utterly inconsequential. But you could all, join hands and sing Kumbaya about how globe-shaped it was? And that will all go away if you don't believe it? Who cares? Nothing bad will happen.
And that wasn't a mantra itself? That we all live on a globe, on a ball, magical spinning water ball? That's not a mantra?
No, that's a fact.
No, that is what
really.
You're pointing out projection. Chocolate saying their mantra, Earth is a ball, Earth is a ball, Earth is a ball. That's a mantra that they need repeating. Us saying, it don't matter. Who cares? Sounds flat anyway, don't matter. No, you've got a mantra. No, I haven't. Pointing out how demonstrably flat it is, you are constantly chanting how ball-shaped it is. They have mantras. They project them onto us.
I just told you the sun moves 2 different ways. How does that work on a flat Earth?
You know, he said that 15 seconds after I clarified that the sun only moves in one direction, and he agreed. Realise that, right?
Yeah.
So, like, can I get clarity? You appreciate that it rises in the east and sets in the west? Yes, I understand this. You are all confused. It goes in different directions. Whoa. 15 seconds ago, you appreciate that you've conceded the fact in the matter. Now, again, this dweeb, right, this guy from Uruguay, did it make any difference to the trajectory of the sun, his recognition of these facts? No. Did it change that east and west are flat earth directionality? No, it didn't matter. Yeah? If he'd have chanted, east and west are ball-shaped, they'd still be flat. In spite of his mantra, which is exactly that. The east and west have got something to do with the ball. They don't, right? That will never change, ever. No matter how many times you tell yourself it's ball-shaped. No mass job losses will be in effect as a result of you appreciating how ball-shaped it is. But that also has a flip side to it, that there's no consequence to you finding out. Suddenly, you might realise how unimportant you are in the scale of this thing that we call Earth. Like, you don't matter, yeah? Now, maybe that's the nihilistic view that you all wanted when you were told you're a speck of dust on a ball flying around the sun in an ever-expanding super-nothingness. Yeah, your insignificance was what you all desired. But in reality, you knowing how functionally flat Earth is inconsequential. You have no bearing on it. And if you did, you'd have been paid to make that your consequence. You'd have paid to learn how to deal with it in that manner. You didn't, and you probably never will. So what difference does it make if you know it's flat? And the answer is none. It doesn't matter if you know.
Yeah, that's just your mantra.
That's my mantra. I don't need a mantra to know it's flat, though, do I?
No, that's just the measurement.
Yeah, the only reason I disagree with that is I would say, like, it does matter to me only the fact that I don't have to pretend that I'm living on something that my senses don't tell me I'm living on. So I'm okay with that. Other than that, yeah, I just continue with my day.
Yeah, like you say, when we are described as coping with this, it's like, what is it that you feel like we need to cope with? Straight and level flight? Celestial navigation? Surveying? Do you think these things are sought out by us so that we can cope? As time progresses, we become more and more relaxed about these facts because they are inconsequential. That's not to say that if you didn't measure Earth flat, there wouldn't be dire consequences. There would. But we do already measure it flat. We, the royal we, because I'm not doing it and you're not doing it, are you? But the people who do, they have to deal with it flat. Or lives get lost. So it's the utter antithesis of what you're told with this fear porn. The world will end if it's dealt with flat. It's like, no. If it's not dealt with flat, planes crash into each other or the ground. If it's not dealt with flat, you can't establish areas of equal elevation. If it's not dealt with flat, then the building falls over. So it is consequential, but it's already being dealt with in that way. It just didn't matter that you didn't appreciate that because you were just expected to cuck to the religion you were given in high school. That's all you were expected to do. And that requires constant reaffirmation. That requires a mantra. That's you being told constantly that there's dire consequences if you don't believe what you are already in agreement with. Why would something that you already appreciate and agree with needs constant reaffirmation? Well, it's because it's not true.
Well, the funny part about that is, though, is that we tell them it's dealt with flat, and then they have to get upset about it. Then when they iterate that it's flat, that it's dealt with that way, they say it's for ease and for simplicity. Okay, it's for ease and simplicity that you measure something the opposite of what it is? Okay, we can run with that. And then we're the ones coping? Nah, I think the cope is that we have to cope with their cope, unfortunately. Because if they didn't have to feel like they had to cope, what are they doing here? What, isn't there something more productive to go do? Why you pay attention to us? You know what I mean?
So the mantra can get reiterated over and over again. Didn't you know that there'll be mass unemployment? And I think that's what drives them to brace against us. They're so scared that the world will stop turning and there'll be mass unemployment that suddenly we might cause that because that's what they've been told by the people who are actually keeping them well in check and under control. It's like, we didn't tell you that the world would end if you don't believe as you already believe. But you want to tell me I've got cope? Like, no. It's a clever system. Project your fears and insecurities onto the person who recognises the reality of the situation. But neither in this scenario have any consequence on how Earth actually gets dealt with. It means nothing to any of us. What difference will it make, you get asked by average normie? Well, none. No, it won't make any difference to how Earth gets measured and sailed on, charted, built upon, flying over. None of those things will change if you get this. So don't worry about it. Just remain on a ball. Just keep your religion. It's fine. Like, no lives will be lost for you keeping your religion of being on a ball. I mean, none will be lost if you find out tomorrow and appreciate how it's dealt with. That won't have any consequence or bearing on the world either. Half the time when you try and boil it down with some of the flat earth dweebs that we deal with, it's like, why do you need the whole world to appreciate these facts that are already in effect anyway? I mean, flights are still going to be in level flight, regardless if you wake the world up to how flat it is. Like, why do you want this? The answer is often because their eyes, next man's eyes, will be open to all the other deceit. Like, half the time, your average normie is also apathetic to how much deceit they have to face on a daily basis. Yeah, the news lies, but what are you going to do? Is the kind of attitude you get from your average normie. Let's say, what, you think that by realising how flat Earth is actually dealt with in reality, they'll have their eyes open to media manipulation? Most normies know that the news lies. So why does it make any difference to you to wake people up? Just let them have their belief. It's like you cuck. You can have your belief. Believe it's a ball. Me, I understand how your ball got created with flat Earth measurements. What's that? That's my mantra? No, it's just an advanced understanding of how you got your religion. I mean, I don't want to take part in your religion anymore. What's that? Your overlords say that you'll have mass unemployment if you don't continue to believe? Oh, well, then you better keep believing. Don't stop. I'll laugh at you, though. Easily manipulated you are. Any more for any more? I'm going to round out this live show. Change the show title to Globe Mantra. Any more for any more? With that, I will say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, hit me up on PayPal and Patreon and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels, and I will see you all in the next video.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If Earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and vegs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.